What's good? What's good? The expression, we must rise up and seize the means of production, is one of the most common Marxist bromides that I don't know how is still popular and people still repeat it, and yet they still do. And I literally mean that because I love you so much, Grandma Deb, but goddamn, Grandma Deb is a 75-year-old lesbian woman that I truly do love, that I've had some of the most amazing conversations with. And yet she still believes that and she says that. And I just want to, and I've told her this, so it's not like I'm taking a shot at her by making this video. We've had this conversation, and she agrees with me on this point that I'm about to make. But the problem with seizing the means of production is that you fucking morons then have to operate the means of production. It's not like you just go in and take over and everything just continues to operate as normal. No, once you seize the means of production, you have to continue operating the production. It's not like the workers are just going to continue to work as if everything is normal and the machines are just going to operate as if they don't need maintenance. Um, that's not how shit works. And the only people, in my opinion, who still kind of have that mentality and that mindset are people who just don't understand work. Because if you understand work, you understand that you can't just seize the means of production, whatever the fuck that means, because that's a very conspicuous term. Can we unpack that for a minute? Because to seize something, to me, that means to take into possession, to take. That implies the use of force. Excuse me. And so people who are advocating for the seizing of the means of production are explicitly advocating for the use of force. And that's something I don't think a lot of these people necessarily realize. I think they just get so lost in the slogans and the jargon. I used the word bromide earlier. I apologize. I like random obscure words. That is just a trite expression or like a cliche. Most of these Marxist expressions are just so tired and trite. Such a small percentage of people use them to rally a general enthusiasm around an ideal, but it is just so flaccid and impotent in reality. And then on top of that, most of these people don't even know what the fuck they are talking about. It's just this really easy line to repeat, to think that you're part of the revolution. No, you dimwits. You're actually enabling the authoritarianism. Okay. Okay. Oof. Because if you advocate for the use of force, that is quite authoritarian. And so to kind of complete the video, I was talking about if you know and understand the concept of work, especially a shared work environment or a work environment with lots of people, you understand that there are a few people who are rock stars often that do really well. There are most people in the middle who are average, And then there are quite a few people who just kind of do the bare minimum. And it's so frustrating because I would say if 50% of the people at your workplace are average or below average, right now when they have freedom and agency, or as much freedom as agent and agency as you can have in what I believe is a fascistic environment. Um, this is better than what communism would be, but this isn't great either. So I'm not advocating for maintaining the status quo at all. No, no, no. I very, very, very much also want a revolution, but I just think you Antifa kids and people are fucking idiots. And I know that's not a way to to build a bridge, and I'm sorry, but this whole exercise for me is just an outlet of frustration. Just like you guys go and throw bricks through windows and, riot and cause property damage. I just do a little bit of character damage, but not even character damage because I'm not attacking anyone specifically. Just you misguided kids who don't know better. But there is a better way. There is. And I know it might not seem like that at this point, but I'd like to offer you an alternative. And that alternative is for you to begin to love yourself, which might be really hard to do. It's a crazy foreign concept, I know, but start with loving yourself and cultivating that self-worth. And start small, you know, little things. Start with some hygiene maybe. Move to setting some goals of personal goals. Maybe you're working part-time, maybe you're not working at all. Maybe you want to make it a goal to get a full-time job. It doesn't even have to be anything fancy at first. The process of crawling out of that hole is very difficult, especially in this shitty environment. But if you love yourself and you begin to develop self-worth and self-competence and skills and value, and begin to realize that the more you cultivate value, the more you can exchange that value in a society and in a community, because burning bridges and destroying property is not the way. And this idea of seizing or taking by force the means of production, let that sink in. You have to be a competent person in order to continue operating the means of production, right? So if you know you have to develop competence, don't you think you would rather develop competence and contribute to a voluntary society? Because while you might think you're on the right side of the authoritarians right now, eventually the authoritarians will always come for you. The circle of the authoritarians shrinks smaller and smaller as they lose their grasp on power, and they do everything they can to hold on to it. I like to think of the Joseph Stalin as like the example, like in how the circle shrinks. In that, I think he was famously known for having people removed from photographs when he removed them from reality, which is just funny. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. And so that's what I'm talking about is if you're advocating for the use of force now because you think you're on the right side, eventually you're not going to be on the right side unless you're at the very, very top. But you're not at the very, very top because no one at the very top is watching this. No one's watching this at all. One or two people. So ultimately, that is the problem with seizing the means of production, is that you then have to become a competent person to operate the means of production. And so I suggest to you an alternative path to obtaining a means of production, which is developing self responsibility, agency, and accountability, because you are your own means of production. And when you take responsibility for that and begin to cultivate value in whatever way you uniquely and individually can, I am a huge fan of the concept of self actualization, or like psychic integration, where you do a lot of internal psychic work to kind of figure out who you are. And it's, if you do it correctly, it's a very non judgmental process, and it's an exploratory process. And it's one that can be very beautiful, but it's difficult and painful at the same time. It's, look into this concept of shadow work if you want. uh 11 minutes, that's a long ass video. Let me wrap it up. You are your own means of production, and that starts with understanding you're worthy of love and giving yourself love. And when you give yourself love, you're going to want to look for ways to cultivate that love and then share that love. I know it's such a wild concept, and they don't teach you that in the Marxist doctrines. It's a very angry and bitter teaching, but there is another way, and it's up to you to make the choice in how you want to live your life. Thank you very much. Much love, y'all.